Hey guys, welcome to this session on AWS SysOps. And AWS SysOps Administrator is a person who operates, manages and also uses the systems on the AWS Cloud. In this session, we'll be learning all the skills of an AWS SysOps Administrator comprehensively. Before moving on to this session, please subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our upcoming videos. Now let us take a quick glance at the agenda. To start off with, we will be learning who is an AWS SysOps Administrator and also what is their role. After that, we'll be looking at the various services provided for monitoring by AWS and also do a hands-on on AWS CloudWatch Alarms. After that, we'll be looking at various security services and also do a demonstration on Amazon Inspector. After that, we'll be learning how to download and install AWS CLI and also launch an EC2 instance directly from the command line interface. Also guys, if you want to become a certified AWS SysOps professional, Intellipaat provides a course on the same and those details are in the description. Now without any delays, let us start with this session. Okay guys, now let us start and look at why do we need AWS SysOps administrators. So why SysOps admin? Creating automatable and repeatable deployments of networks and systems on the AWS platform is the basic requirement or the primary function of an AWS SysOps administrator. So now, what is the average salary of an AWS SysOps admin? And according to Glassdoor.com, in the USA it is $83,000 per annum and in India it is 4.7 lakhs per annum. Coming back to the SysOps admin part, so SysOps administrators are two different roles actually. So SysOps is system operators and admin is an administrator. So these two are two different roles in a huge organization. But when you come to AWS, you will have to configure or create automatable and repeatable deployments as well as maintain the servers. You will be operating the servers and also maintaining it. So right now, a work for a system operator and an administrator is combined together. That's why AWS SysOps Administrator is a role here. So AWS SysOps Admin is one of the popular roles and systems operator or an administrator could take up this certification and become a AWS SysOps Admin. Now moving further. Hey guys, a quick info. If you want to become a certified AWS SysOps Administrator, Intellipaat provides a course on the same and you can check those details in the description. Now let us continue with this session. Now let us see the roles and skills of an AWS SysOps Administrator. So the first role or the first skill he has to have is configure the AWS Cloud Management Service. Yes, you can segregate this role into three parts. One is Amazon Web Services, one is System Operators, and one is Administrator. So this person has to know how AWS works. Second, he has to know the work of a system operator. Third one, he has to know the work of an administrator. So now, configure the AWS Cloud Management Service. He should understand what is that organization's usage of AWS services. According to that, he'll have to configure it to make them better. And then coming to this point, that is monitor and manage the services. As I already told you, if he configures those services, obviously he'll have to maintain and monitor them and constantly upgrade it whenever there is a need. And then efficiently monitor billing and to develop cost optimization strategies. So he'll know how the entire architecture is working right now after he configures it, after he monitors it and gets the metric data. After all of those operations, right now he'll understand how this entire architecture is working and he can now efficiently monitor the billing costs and create a cost optimized architecture. And the fourth point is infrastructure security and data integrity. Yes, he'll also have to maintain the security because he'll be the person who will be creating users for the organization and those users should have strictly lesser permissions for only their tasks. For example, a web developer should not be given access to the database part, or let's say an administrator has the complete access. But if you take a different let us take a business analyst. A business analyst doesn't need EC2 servers or he does not need Elastic Beanstalk. And web developer will need them because he has to host his web pages inside a server. So the administrator has to decide that and so that this infrastructure is secure enough and also the data is confidential and also the data sent or coming in are the same. So the integrity is not going away. And then automate infrastructure deployment. I already told you the basic primary need of an AWS SysOps admin is to automate a process So that's exactly what they are saying here, that is automate infrastructure deployment. So to do that, AWS provides a stack web service, that is CloudFormation. You can use CloudFormation and you can create a JSON or a YAML file which you can run on CloudFormation, which will automatically create a complete AWS architecture for you, which you have designed in that JSON or YAML file. And then finally, reduce the time required for the production. So yes, your organization might have applications. So when an application is created and is tested and it's successfully running in your staging environment, you will have to, or the company wants to shift it to the production environment. So to do that, it takes some time. You will have to create a plan, or you'll have to keep the services as such this process is seamless as possible, because this will directly affect in your profits. Because the faster the application is up and online and running, people start buying early so that you can get more customers. So you'll have to do that. So these are some roles of an AWS SysOps admin. And now let us see the skills required for an AWS SysOps admin. As I told you, first one is AWS skills. He should understand in depth how AWS is working and also the best practices of using Amazon Web Services. And then second one, as I told you, it is a two different role combined together. One is systems operators and one is administrator. So he should understand how a system operator works, that is, he runs servers and he configures it. Administrator takes care of everything else, the complete infrastructure. So he should understand how both of those roles work, and he has to keep his work aligned as such. Third one is Linux and Unix, because most of the organization's applications are hosted on Linux. So he has to understand how it works and also how to configure those Linux environments. Fourth one is secure and cost optimized architectures, and we discussed this in the roles. So secure and cost optimized architectures should be created by this person. So he should keep the architecture secure enough, and also it has to build the company. So the bill has to be the lesser cost. It should not go beyond an expected limit. He has to create an architecture, or the person who is an SysOps admin has to create the architecture as such it gives the lowest bill possible. Fifth one, and one of the most important tool, is he should understand how automation tool works. Automation tools in the sense he has to learn few of the DevOps tools, that are like Jenkins, Kubernetes, Docker. So these tools will be used by an organization for hosting or for CI/CD processes, for a complete software lifecycle. So they'll be using this. So this lifecycle will be implemented on AWS. So this person, as in SysOps admin, he has to understand how that works so that he can help and implement and also make the process more automatic, and also the repeated processes are made better so that very less time is taken for our software to be uploaded to the AWS environment. So guys, this is done. So now let us go ahead and look at monitoring services and other tools further. Hey guys, a quick info. If you want to become a certified AWS SysOps administrator, Intellipaat provides a course on the same, and you can check those details in the description. Now let us continue with this session. So first, what is monitoring? To observe and follow a process over a period of time to get data out of it, which could be of help to the business or rectifying an error. So what this means is, if you have a particular process running for you, you will have to follow and observe that process and get data out of it. That is, if you're watching a football game or a cricket game, and so what do? You record the scores, you record the runs. If it is a cricket game, the number of balls has been played, and you see what is the economy of the player, or if it is football, how many goals a player has scored. So you check all of these. So these are the data which you get out of something. So the same thing goes with monitoring. So you get some data out of it which you will use to help the business. So you can use this data in sports, you can use this data to make the team better. So you can give guidance and help the team to get better using all of this data. So the same goes with monitoring in a software. So you can give all this monitoring metric data so that they can make the software better and build it better. And then also, what is IT monitoring? So basically, monitoring is so generic. Monitoring can be done on anything in this world. So monitoring is a generic term. So IT monitoring is the term which we use for monitoring a complete organization which runs on a complete infrastructure and IT infrastructure. So basically what we are going to see is, what is IT monitoring? That is information technology monitoring. Yes. So IT monitoring is the process of gathering metrics or telemetry of the organization's applications to ensure everything works well and also to support them. As I told you previously, for a sport team, let us consider a football team, they see which player scores a lot, which player passes a lot, which player assists a lot. So they take all this data and then they use it to help the team play better. So the same goes with IT monitoring. So if you have 3-4 applications and you have so many features within that applications, let us consider we have one application which has 4 different features. So what do? You monitor all of those features individually and get metric or telemetry data from those services or from those features. So when you do that, what is the advantage of getting data from each feature? We can understand which is the most used feature, which feature has the most time used on. So the amount of time people are spending on our application, the amount of time people are spending on each feature. So we can understand which is the most used feature and we can make that feature better. And also we can find out why people are not using the other features as that much as the first one. So we can do this by collecting metric data. So this is what IT monitoring is called. Moving on. Now let us see why monitoring is a need. So the first thing is better usage of IT infrastructure and hardware. If you are a huge organization who has their own on-premise setup, so basically when there is an on-premise setup, it has to be monitored and maintained by the organization itself. So when the organization itself does it, they'll need to have a proper monitoring tool to monitor it and also get all the metric data so that they can build their IT infrastructure as such as all the hardware is consumed, all the resources are finally used. So this is one of the reason. And when it comes to AWS, it is the same thing. When your infrastructure is on AWS, again you will have to monitor AWS to get the best out of it and reduce your bills. Second one is analysis and graphic visualization in near real time. So when you are getting real-time data, so you can use that data to build visualizations and graphic patterns. You can build charts so that it can be helped. So when you're going in a business meeting, instead of taking numbers, you can take a complete PowerPoint or a presentation with all these graphs and graphic visualization, which you can get from even CloudWatch or other tools which you're using for monitoring. So you can get all these tools and explain it in a better way. And also this can be easily read, right? So why do we use graphic visualization and data visualization? Because they are easy to read, they are pleasing to the eye. So if you just take numbers, tell 60% of my IT infrastructure has been used, the rest 40% is not. Instead of that, you can show why the 60% is used, what are the services used in those 60%, which resources are not properly used, which resources are not required at all. So this you can graphically visualize. So this is one of the need. Then lesser time spent on controlling the resources. So when you monitor anything, so you'll be getting constant data. So when you get data in real time, you will understand. When you check the data, you can get to know where the mistake is, or when there is something wrong with a particular resource, you can correct it in real time. So whenever you get it, you can be able to make those changes. But if you're monitoring a tool, it's not in real time. So basically what happens is, if you're not doing proper monitoring, you might get an error, but that error might have already occurred like 2-3 days back and still it's going on. So now you get that data, and with that data, even if you correct it right now, you lost business for 2 days. So this is one of the reason. And then prevents errors. When errors occur, detects faster. So prevents error in the sense, you can keep your monitoring tool so that you can set up maintenance windows. You can set up maintenance windows in the sense like every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes or every hour, every day. That is your wish, you can set that. And also you can code as such as that they prevent the most common errors. So you will know what are the errors which are keep on occurring constantly. So you can code as such. These errors, when they occur, they are automatically prevented. And also when there are errors found, you will be able to see them in near real time. So that will help you to detect it faster and correct. So these are the 4 most important points which you have to know why we need monitoring. So to know why we need monitoring, these are the 4 most important points. Moving on. So questions on monitoring monitoring data? Even this comes under why do we need monitoring? Because these questions have to be answered while you are creating a monitoring service or while you're using a monitoring service. So for what metric is the data collected? So for what metric is the data being collected, in the sense, if you are running a particular EC2 instance or your own on-premise setup, that particular instance or that particular server will have a lot of metric data going on. There's CPU utilization, the amount of bytes going out of the system, coming through the system, the throughput. So there are a lot of metrics. You will have to choose a particular metric or 2 or 3 metrics for which the data has to be collected, which will be useful for you. And then how valid and accurate are the data? The data has to be nearly accurate, or they at least should be valid so that it can be used for the business, the betterment of the business. And also if the data is available or accessible immediately. So the data might get stored somewhere else and it might be hard to get them back. They should be stored in a place where it is easily accessible and available, like an S3 bucket, so that you can get it back easily. And also to acquire data even in AWS, you have some retrieval fees. So you will have to also check that which is the most efficient way and the cheapest way to retrieve data, because while monitoring and keep on doing the changes continuously, you will have to know how to acquire data from a particular source cheaply. So moving on. So we've learned what is monitoring, what is IT monitoring, and why do we need monitoring in the first place. So these 3 questions got their answers. Now let us see what are the monitoring services which AWS provides, and after seeing what are those services, after seeing that, we'll be looking at best practices which AWS themselves recommend. So AWS monitoring services. So in this session, we'll be looking at these 3 services. These 3 are the most used. Basically, Amazon CloudWatch is the most used monitoring tool in AWS. Then comes CloudTrail, and Trusted Advisor is one of the tool which is not used constantly, but it gives you a lot of suggestions and it is paid. So CloudWatch and AWS CloudTrail can be accessed for free. A lot of their services and features can be accessed for free, but in Trusted Advisor, a lot of their services are paid. So now let me explain what are these services, then let's move on. So first, Amazon CloudWatch. Amazon CloudWatch is a monitoring and observability service. So what it means is CloudWatch can be used to monitor any AWS service. If you consider EC2, for example, you can check the CPU utilization of that particular EC2 instance. You can monitor that and also observe in real time what is going on in that service. So AWS CloudTrail is a service that enables governance, compliance, and operational auditing. So CloudTrail basically gives you logs of particular services. You can create a trail for any service which you want to create for, and after that, after creating a trail, what you can do is you can use that trail logs and you can push them to AWS CloudWatch, so that in CloudWatch you can create alarms using them. So when there is an unnecessary log, or when you don't need a log or you need a log, you can just mention it in CloudWatch and you can create an alarm using that. After that, AWS Trusted Advisor. So Trusted Advisor is basically a tool which will guide you how to provision or how to keep your services, and also how to reduce your billing amount. So basically it checks all the services available and it has its own limits, service limits. So when you exceed that or when you are equal to that, it shows you a red flag. If you're slightly above the expectation, it shows you an yellow flag. And if you're correctly using all the services, it shows you the green flag. So these are the services. We'll be looking at these services in detail. Right now, I just wanted to show what are the services which we are going to learn and the most used services in AWS. So now let us go to the AWS Management Console and do this. So guys, this was the dashboard. So right now we'll have to go to Alarms and click on Create Alarm. So now we'll have to select a metric. But how do you get a metric? So for that, we need an EC2 instance. So first let me create an EC2 instance quickly. And I have a code in that, a CPU util code. So I already have an AMI to create that. So I'm going to launch an instance, configure it, and just add storage, and I'm done with this. That's it. So launch. I have a key pair, but I do not know whether I have over here. So I'll create a new key pair, not required. So I'll just go with this, launch instances. Yes. So my instance is launched right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run that code within this instance. So when I run that code after creating the alarm, so that it will go to alarm state when the CPU util goes beyond 60%. So while this is creating, let me show what exactly we are going to do in alarms. So we are going to launch an instance, add a script to increase CPU util. I already have the script. I'll show how the script looks. So I'll show that, and after that what we are going to do, we are going to create an alarm which will basically send an email to us, whichever SNS endpoint we have mentioned. It will send an email to that telling the CPU util has gone beyond the threshold value with an extremely detailed information. So that information I'll show when showing my count. So right now you just remember this. So okay, so right now let us get back with this. It's running right now. So let me open my instance here. So I'll open putty, and then I'm choosing this and then clicking here, authorization. I'll have to browse. So my keypad is over here, so I'm opening it and open. So yeah, so now if I do an ls, you can see there is a Python code over here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to open this and first show you what it is exactly. It's a simple Python script. So basically it creates a loop, so it just keeps on running. It increases the CPU util code. So this multiprocessing and you're importing pool and CPU count, basically this code will increase the CPU util. That's how much we have to know. And yes, so just closing this file. So guys, right now let me run this code. So done. So my code is now running. So right now we'll have to start creating the alarm. So first we'll have to select a metric, click on select metric. We'll have to choose the CPU util metric of EC2 namespace. So this is the namespace, clicking on it. So these are the metrics, but right now there is no metric over here for my instance. So let me copy the instance ID. So this is the dimension. I'm going to paste it here and search it. So you can see there is no CloudWatch metric over here because I just started my instance. There is not enough metric data to create a metric for that particular instance. So what I'm going to do, I'll go back, click on create alarm once again, click on select alarm, go to EC2 namespace, go to per instance metric, and you can see still it's not available. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait until, so just a second, I've stopped this from running. So let me wait until this metrics are available in my CloudWatch dashboard. So once it is available, then I'll run the CPU util code, and after that I'll create an alarm. So guys, let us check once again. So right now, yeah, there are 173 metrics. That means it has been created. So let me search with my dimension, that is my instance ID. Yeah, there are metrics for my instance ID. So you can see over here, network packets in, network packets out, CPU util, network in, network out, and a lot of other metrics. So we need CPU util. So right now, if I click here and go to custom, give it as 1 minute, you can see the CPU util was 63.9 at some point when it got created, but right now there is no other. So let me make this place. So yeah, so what we can do is now we can just wait. Before waiting, we'll run this. So what I'm going to do, I'll run this. Yes. So right now the CPU util is going to be increasing. So within that, we'll create the alarm. So I've selected the metric. I need CPU util selected. So now starts creating the alarm. So my alarm name is going to be, so it's not over here. We'll have to mention that later. So currently it is CPU utilization. The metric I've chosen is CPU util. The instance ID is this, the same instance as this. And then the statistic is going to be average. So you can choose that over here. You can basically keep it as maximum or minimum. So you can do that. So I'm okay with average. Yeah, so period, let us keep it for 1 minute, because you see only a period greater than 60 seconds is supported for metrics in the AWS/namespaces. So if you have your own custom namespace, then you can give less than 60 seconds. But if it is an AWS namespace, then 1 minute is the least time you can provide. And then now we'll come to this conditions part. In the conditions part, I'm going to give 60%, greater than 60%. So here we'll have to give greater than 60%, and static anomaly detection greater or equal, lower or equal, lower. You can select anything over here. I'm going to go with greater or equal. So if it is greater than or equal to 60%, then it will send a notification. So additional configuration is not required. We are good with one data point. Next. Yes. So now we'll have to configure our notification, guys. So for that, what you will have to do is, if you already have an SNS endpoint, you can just select an existing one, or you click here, enter the topic name. It can be my new subscription or whichever topic name, like this, my new sub, and then click enter the email address which you want this particular email to be received in. So give that and click on create topic. Then it will be getting created. Now you'll have to go to the email address which you have mentioned. There will be an email, so you'll have to click on the link there. So once you click there, the subscription will be achieved. So basically it's like verification. So subscription will be verified. After that, you can use that in SNS end topic. So right now I'm going to select the existing topic which I have. I'm choosing this, and the email endpoint is this. So we can view it in the SNS console, or we can just proceed. So whenever this is an alarm state, it has to send an email to this particular SNS endpoint. So that's it, guys. And next. And also I didn't mention one thing. You can add an EC2 action also. For example, you can stop the instance or terminate the instance or even reboot the instance if it is in an alarm or OK or insufficient data state. You can mention whichever state you want to, but I don't want anything. Let my instance be running. So next, alarm name we'll have to provide right now. So my alarm name is going to be CPU util alarm. And next, if you want, you can give a description. So right now you can see it went down after I removed the CPU util code, and right now it will be increasing, I'm pretty sure, because I already ran that code and it has been like around 2 minutes after that. So right now just review your alarm and click on create. So this is how you create an alarm, guys. So you can see the condition. My alarm name is CPU util alarm. It is in the state of insufficient data, and the conditions are CPU utilization greater than or equal to 60 for 1 data points within 1 minute. So for 1 minute it calculates the average, and if the average goes above 60, then an email will be sent to my SNS endpoint. So right now let me open my SNS endpoint. So this is my SNS endpoint. So you can see there were a lot of I had 2 other SNS notifications. So right now let us go back to our console and let us wait until it goes to alarm state. So still now it is in insufficient data state. That means still now it has not calculated the average for 1 minute. So let us wait, and we can see the code is still running. And if you want to also check, you can go to graph and you can see the CPU util here. So till now it has went down. After that it's not showing, it is going up. So we've given 1 minute. Let us wait until then and let us check after that. Then this insufficient one will be 0, and in alarm it will be 1. So we'll have to wait until that happens, guys. So that's how we will know the alarm has been triggered. So once it goes to alarm state, if I open my SNS endpoint, I'll have a mail, a detailed mail on what this alarm is about and what happened in my alarm. So why it changed the state, or which state it was previously available in, and now what state it is. So it gives a detailed explanation with all the details which we require. So still now it is an insufficient state. So let us wait until it goes to alarm state. So guys, right now the alarm is not found in the insufficient section. So we'll have to go to alarm section. We can see it is in state in alarm. So this means I would have received a mail. So you can see my inbox is 1. So basically I've received a mail from AWS CloudWatch, and I've received it in my SNS endpoint. So let me go over there. So first let us check here. So you can see the CPU util went up to 99.6 from this period to this period. So yes, within this it went up till this. So right now let us go to my SNS endpoint and check it. So you guys can see alarm, CPU util alarm, and you're receiving this email because your Amazon CloudWatch Alarm CPU util alarm in the US East region has entered the alarm state, because the threshold 1 out of 1 last day endpoints is 99.63770491. It gives the most accurate value of your CPU utilization and gives the date and the time. As I told you, date timestamps, and it gives that, and then it also showing it went from OK to alarm transition. So basically you can see the alarm details. The state change was actually from insufficient data to alarm because it was collecting data. It was within OK, but it never turned to OK because it was already in the alarm state when the alarm was calculating the average. So the first state change was alarm. So you can see alarm details, name, CPU alarm, insufficient data alarm, threshold crossed, 1 out of 1 lost data points, and you can see all the details over here. It timestamps Sunday 20 October 2019 and even the time, and it is in UTC guys, not in local time. And then here you can see monitored metric. It was the AWS EC2 namespace. It was CPU utilization metric. The dimension where my instance ID period was for 60 seconds. The statistic was average. The unit is not specified, and the data is treated as missing. But right now you can see state change actions. There was only one action which happened. That is when an alarm, it has to send a email to this SNS topic, which it sent. So guys, we have succeeded in creating an alarm and also to make it send an email whenever it crosses the threshold value. So let us go back and see. So right now it went back to insufficient data state. Let us stop this. So I don't need this right now. I'll just close this. Yeah, so right now we've done it. So let us go back to the slides and start with the next portion, guys. What is cloud security? Cloud security is a set of procedures and technologies that work together to protect cloud-based systems and data stored in the cloud. We, the customers, we store our data and host our applications on AWS, and we also pay AWS to do that. So AWS has to provide us security in return. So AWS or any other cloud service, first priority is to provide security because they want to restrict unauthorized access and also to keep the data secure so that they do not leak. Let us see why cloud security is a priority in AWS. So at AWS, cloud security is the highest priority, and by AWS, you will benefit from a data center and a network architecture which is built to meet the requirements of the most security sensitive organizations. As we know, AWS also hosts government applications which have highly sensitive and mission critical data in them. So they also provide the same data centers with the same network architectures which are secure enough to host government applications and data for other organizations and also customers. So you can understand how much AWS values cloud security. Now let us see, why is cloud security a priority? First thing, protection against DDoS attacks, that is distributed denial of service attacks. DDoS attacks might reduce your sales or your business because whenever there is an attack, nobody can use your service. For example, if you're using Facebook to sell your products in the marketplace, if Facebook has a DDoS attack and Facebook has stopped for the period of time until Facebook comes back again, your business is lost, so that you'll be losing money for the time. So that is DDoS attacks, and AWS provides you services and security so that you can prevent DDoS attacks. And then data security to protect sensitive information. As I already told you, AWS provides data centers with extremely securely built network architecture which can protect government applications and also highly sensitive data. They provide that to organizations and also customers. So this makes it highly secure, and we can trust AWS to store our sensitive information in that. And then flexibility when scaling up and down. So basically, we use cloud so that we can scale our applications infrastructure up and down as per the requirements of our customers. So flexibility is also one of the reasons why cloud security is a priority, because whenever the scale goes up and high, the security measures taken should also increase with it. And whenever it comes down, the security services which are involved will have lesser time, and also they can easily detect all of the vulnerabilities and security issues going on. But when the application scale increases, the security's surveillance should also increase. There should be a lot of time put into security to look for vulnerabilities and loopholes so that we can fix them before a hacker tries to get in. And then comes high availability and support. So if you prevent any unauthorized access, DDoS attacks, and any other type of hacking attacks, you provide high availability. Because whenever your site doesn't goes down it is available for customers and also anyone who are using that website. So to make it highly available, you should allow cloud security. You should allow services to protect your web application or any application you have hosted on AWS. So to protect high availability, to provide high availability and also support to your applications, you will have to enable cloud security and you will have to use proper services so that your application is highly available in all of the data centers across the world. Now let us look into AWS Security Services, which we'll be learning in this session, and also we'll learn some best security practices which we can follow if we are using an AWS account. We can follow so that we don't leak our sensitive information and also we don't give our access to our root credentials. Now let us look into the security services which we'll be learning in this session. So these are the security services, guys. So first is Inspector, then KMS, Single Sign-On, Certificate Manager and WAF. So Inspector is an automated security assessment service that helps improve the security and compliance of applications deployed on AWS. We'll look into these services in detail later. Now let me just give you an introduction about them. First is Inspector. Basically it is used to automate security assessment process. And then KMS, it provides you a service where you can create and also manage encryption keys. You can create keys for encrypting your data and also create keys so that it can help you with other AWS services. And then Single Sign-On, this is a service which helps you to keep just one credential where you can just log into that and access all of the applications which are registered to that particular email address. And then Certificate Manager, it provides you and you can also create SSL or TLS certificates for which you can connect them with AWS services and also take these certificates and implement it in your own on-premise setup. And then WAF, as I told you, it is a web application firewall. This helps you protect your web apps and also other web applications from common web exploits or attacks like DDoS or SQL injection attacks. Moving on, now let us look at the best security practices that AWS recommends us to take up. The first thing is keep your AWS root account password safe and vaulted. So what are they saying over here is they are telling us to keep our root account to ourselves and we should not let anyone know our root account password because root accounts are very powerful in AWS and you can launch any services with it. So that keep your root account password safe and only provide IAM credentials to whoever asking for any credentials to you. And then use IAM permissions and IAM users to provide access to services. As I just now told you, create IAM users and give those users enough permissions to do whatever services or requirements they have. For example, you might give a developer access to an EC2 instance, then access to Elastic Beanstalk, and then access to some other services like S3, but you do not need to give him all the access or you do not need to give him the administrator access. You just need to give permissions for the tasks which that particular person is going to perform. Third point is enabling multi-factor authentication. So multi-factor authentication enables you to keep your account secure because every 30 seconds or 1 minute in equal periods of time, it provides you a new code or a new set of 6 digits. So you can only log into your account if you enter that 6 digits which are currently showing in your authenticator app. For example, you provide your root credentials to someone and if they're trying to log in, it'll ask for the MFA number. So you will only have that MFA number in your mobile or wherever you have installed the Authenticator app. So there is an application called Google Authenticator. You can download it and install it. So that Google Authenticator will show that numbers and you will have to enter those numbers so that you keep your account more safe. If somebody else is trying to do unauthorized access, they'll need your mobile application and they'll have to know that 6-digit number of that particular 30 seconds so that they can log into your account. And then encrypt important volumes and data storage with KMS. So you might have EBS volumes and S3 buckets with sensitive information stored in it. So please create encryption keys which make them secure. So you can apply these encryption keys to those EBS volumes and also S3 buckets so they are safe enough to prevent unauthorized access. So right now we are going to start off with the hands-on. We saw how to install and configure AWS CLI. Now we'll be doing it in practical. So first let us download and then install and then configure AWS CLI in our PC. So this is the website. This is the documentation provided by AWS. You can follow this document to download AWS CLI for the respective operating systems. So you can see here there is for Linux, and then for Windows, for Mac OS, and for virtual environment also. So my PC is a Windows operating system, so I have to install it on Windows. And they also provide you multiple options. The first option is to download the MSI installer, which gives you the executable file, which you can just install like a normal setup file. And then you can install it using Python and pip in Windows. And then you can also download just the setup file and install it, and just copy your path to the environment variables. So instead of doing that, we can just download and install using the MSI installer, which is much simpler. You can choose the 64-bit version or 32-bit version according to your computer specifications, or you can just download the setup file. So this has both the 32-bit and the 64-bit MSI installers. So now let us just download 64-bit. So if you do not know which type of system is your, what kind of specification configuration is your system is, you can just download the setup file and install. It will automatically install the correct appropriate version in your system. So once this gets downloaded, we can open it up and start installing it. Once we install, I can take you to the command prompt and show you how to configure it. Now let it download and then it'll open, then I'll show how to install it. So the download has been completed, guys. Now this file has to open once the entire download is complete. So the download is complete, and now the setup file or the MSI installer file has opened. You can see over here, welcome to the AWS command line interface setup wizard. So this is nothing, there is nothing complicated over here. It is just a normal installation setup. Like you can just click on next. If you want, you can read this license agreement and then click on next. So once you entered your admin password, the application will start install. If you do not have any admin password, it will automatically start installing. Once it gets installed, I'll take you to the command prompt, and in the command prompt, I'll show you how to check whether the AWS CLI has been installed on your system or not. So right now it's going to get completed. I'll open the command prompt and keep it ready. So let us wait until this completes. Once this completes, we'll be able to check. So before that, we'll check right now. AWS -- version is the command. So right now AWS is not a recognized command. Once this installs, it will be a recognized command because it will be installed in our system. So right now it's done. Let me hit finish. Let me check once again whether is it showing here. It is not. So now we just have to open a new command prompt and hit AWS -- version. So now it is taking some time. That shows AWS CLI has installed in our system, and it is showing the versions. It is showing the AWS CLI versions, the Python version installed in our system, the Windows version, that is Windows 10, and also the Botocore C SDK. So about this Botocore SDK we'll be looking at later, but right now just think about AWS CLI. Python has been already installed, so you just ignore that part. Let us just consider we have installed AWS CLI right now. So now let us configure AWS CLI. To configure AWS CLI, the command is AWS configure. So this is the command to configure AWS CLI, and hit enter. So the first thing it asks for is the AWS access key ID. I've already entered one access key ID when I last tried to configure it in this PC, but right now I have deleted that key. So right now it requires a new key ID and a new secret access key. And also guys, I'll be showing this access key and secret access key, and I'll be making them inactive and deleting it. So if you are having an access key or a secret access key, don't share it with anyone who can misuse it. So right now I'll just go to my console. To get your access keys, you'll have to go to your security credentials. Click on it. You'll be taken to the IAM console. In IAM console, you'll be seeing all the security options over here once this page loads. After that, I'll take you to the correct place to get it. So you can see it has been loaded. So it's not password, you'll have to go to access keys. So now you can see I've created 5 different access keys and I've deleted all of them. So right now I'll have to create a new one, and you can either download the key file or just show it over here. Downloading the key file is a safe practice. Let it get downloaded. So right now you will have to copy this, go here, paste it, enter. You'll have to go here, copy this entire code or key, copy it and paste it here. And then coming to default region name, I've already entered it as US East 1. So let me once again enter it as US East 1 because I'll be always working in North Virginia region. If you work on a different region, enter that over here. And then default output format none. If you want, you can enter JSON or you don't need to enter anything. So let it be JSON, no problem. This is the first hands-on. We have completed installing and configuring AWS CLI. Now let us move on with this session. Now let us go ahead and use some commands to launch or deploy an EC2 instance directly from the AWS CLI. So let me first show you the commands which are required to do that. So first, this is AWS EC2 create key pair, because when we do it in the AWS management console, after the complete process, it asks for a key pair. Either you will have to create a new one or you have to use a old one. So right now let us create a new key pair which is named as newkey.pem, and you can see over here create key pair. So key name is new key and query is key material. So it will be written as key material inside our key. So it is just a query. And then coming to security group, we'll have to create a security group. And for that security group, we are allowing inbound rules. That is, we are allowing SSH port 22 and it can be accessed by any IP address. That means we can open this using SSH. And then finally we are going to launch an EC2 instance. So we are giving the image ID. The image ID can be taken from the AWS CLI, or you can just go to the AWS documentation and get it, or you can describe all the instances in the AWS CLI and get it, or you can directly go to the management console and go to AMIs and get the AMI ID of the particular instance which you have to launch from the AWS CLI. So the count is 1. I just have to launch one EC2 instance. If you want 2 or more, you can include it over here. Instance type is t2.micro because t2.micro is the free instance. That is the free tier limit instance. And then the key name is new key because that is the key we created, and security groups is taken as new group which we just created. So now let me open the command prompt. So we have already configured it. So right now let us start off with it. So first let me create a key pair. So enter. So this will create a key pair. So okay, there are some mistakes here. So let me just remove this part and hit enter. So a new key already exists. This means I have already created a key called new key. So let me name it as new key 1 and let me try to install. So an error occurred. The key pair new key already exists. So just a second, I'll have to change the name over here. So that is here, new key 1. So once I do this, yes, a key pair got created right now without any error. So let this be. We've tried the first time there was some error in the code. Second time there was the error because it already had a key pair called new key. So now I have created a key pair called new key 1. So I'll have to change that over here. So new key 1 and others are the same. So now let us create a security group. Let me copy this and paste it over here. And EC2 create security group. Group name is new security group and description is security group for my new instance. Enter. And it also should be created. Yes, a group is created and the group ID is SG and they've given a separate number. We can go to the AWS management console and check this, and this will be available right now. And then coming to providing inbound rules. Let me copy this and again paste it. And I think we'll have to change the name over here. That is new security group. Now let me copy this and paste it and hit enter. So right now the inbound rule should allow port number 22 from any IP address. So inbound rules are done. So we have done the 3 main processes. One is creating the key pair, creating the security group and allowing inbound access. So the fourth and final step is to create an instance from the CLI. So this is the command, that is AWS EC2 run instances, image ID, count is 1, instance type is t2.micro, key name is new key 1, security group is new group, but we have changed the name to new security group. So let me use this, copy this and paste it over here and hit enter. So right now the process for deploying an EC2 instance would have started. So yes, you can see a complete JSON format output has come over here. Groups, instances, image ID, the AMI ID, instance type is t2.micro, key name is taken as new key 1 and there are other options over here. So right now guys, so you can see private IP address and you can see a private IP address over here also, and it has a root device name as /dev/sda1. The root device type is EBS volumes. Security group is new security group and the group ID. Code is pending. So right now it has to be creating. Now let us go to our AWS EC2 dashboard and check whether an EC2 instance is getting created or not. So if it is not getting created, that means we would have done some mistakes, but it should be creating right now. Let me open. There are 3 running instances. So this is the current instance which I created. So these were the previous instances which I already had. So currently this is the instance which is running and initializing. This is the instance we created. But how to cross check this? Okay, now let us check this instance ID. Let us see 0C9. Let us go back to the CLI, go to the instance ID and check this. Yes, 0C9. It's the same instance, guys. This is the instance we created directly from the AWS CLI. Hey guys, a quick info. If you want to become a certified AWS SysOps administrator, Intellipaat provides a course on the same and you can check those details in the description. Okay guys, we've come to the end of this session. I hope this session was helpful and informative for you. If you have any queries, leave a comment below and we'll love to help you out. Thank you.